At 3:18 on a Tuesday afternoon, my cousin Ryan stood outside the Cedar Falls Civic Center with a microphone in one hand and a phone in the other and told 400 frightened parents that two groups of elementary school children were missing. They were not missing. I knew where they were. The bus drivers knew where they were. The children knew where they were. But Ryan's screen did not know, and my Aunt Denise had decided his screen mattered more than the people standing in front of her. I was 30 feet away, holding a stack of laminated student cards against my chest while teachers moved children into 4 colored pickup lanes: red for north routes, blue for south, green for walkers and family pickup, yellow for students who needed a second adult check before release. My aunt took the microphone from Ryan and pointed at me. "Nora, get away from those lanes," she said. "You're the aunt who makes little cards. Let Ryan handle a real emergency." Parents heard her, teachers heard her, 3 local camera crews heard her, so did Superintendent Leela Grant, who had just stepped out of a district vehicle at the curb. I did not answer Denise. I looked at Sam Ortiz, one of our bus drivers. He was holding a blue card with one corner still attached. "Library lot?" I asked. He nodded. Both buses, 43 kids, all accounted for. Ryan's phone still showed 43 children missing. Sam looked at the card, then at Superintendent Grant. "She needs to see this," he said. Before that afternoon ended, the little card in his hand would remove Ryan from the district emergency team. It would also force my aunt to explain, in front of the same parents she had tried to impress, why she had taken an approved student safety plan out of service so her son could look innovative. But to understand why Denise thought she could dismiss me in the middle of an evacuation, you need to understand the job she believed I had been born to do. Not attendance clerk. Not emergency planner. Not professional. Family help. If your family has ever called you difficult for noticing what everyone else ignored, tell me the word they used in the comments. Some labels only survive because nobody says them back out loud. I worked at Maple Ridge Elementary in Cedar Falls, Ohio. We had 612 students from kindergarten through 5th grade, 73 staff members, 16 regular bus routes, 4 special needs vans, and more custody notes than any person should ever have to read before 8 in the morning. My official title was attendance clerk. That made people picture a woman checking boxes when children came in late. I did check boxes. I also knew that Ava Morales cried when her father dropped her off on Wednesdays, because Wednesday was the day her mother had supervised visitation. I knew that the Chen family had 1 car and that Mrs. Chen worked 40 minutes away, so if Milo got sick after lunch, his grandmother needed the call first. I knew which parents could not read English well, which children were allowed to leave with an older sibling, which fathers had restraining orders, and which mothers needed us to use a different name when we called their workplace. I knew voices. A parent could say, "Hi, this is Jacob's mom," and I usually knew which Jacob before she gave me a last name. I knew when a child who was never late arrived 12 minutes after the bell with no coat. I knew when a grandmother signing a student out was moving too slowly because her knee hurt, and when she was moving too slowly because she was afraid to take the child home. None of that looked impressive in a district newsletter. It just kept children from falling through cracks. My Aunt Denise had been principal of Maple Ridge for 11 years. She was my mother's older sister, and after my mother died from an aneurysm when I was 14, Denise took me into her house. I will never pretend that meant nothing. She gave me a room. She took me to the dentist. She signed school forms and sat through parent conferences. She bought me a dark blue dress for graduation and cried when I walked across the stage. But Denise had a way of turning every act of care into a debt that kept growing after it should have been paid. Her son Ryan was 16 when I moved in. He was not cruel to me then. Mostly, he was annoyed that I used the upstairs bathroom and knew where his mother hid the good snacks. We were close enough to watch movies together and distant enough that he never had to wonder whether his place in the house had changed. It had not. Ryan was Denise's future. I was Denise's proof that she was a good person. At family dinners, she told the story of taking me in. She always ended it the same way. "Nora needed structure," she would say. She needed someone who would not give up on her. I had been a straight-A student whose mother died between breakfast and lunch on a Monday. But in Denise's version, I was a troubled girl she rescued. When I graduated from community college with an associate degree in office administration, Denise helped me get a temporary job at Maple Ridge. I was grateful. I worked hard. Within a year, the district made the position permanent. Denise still introduced me as her niece who helped in the office. Ryan went away to a private college in Indiana. He studied communications, changed majors twice, and came home with a degree, good hair, and the confidence of a man who had never been asked to explain what his work actually prevented. He worked for a sports marketing company in Columbus, then a hospital public relations office, then a software startup that closed after 14 months. Every job sounded important when Denise described it. My work sounded small even when it was the reason she slept at night. She called me after hours when a parent threatened to sue. She called me on Sundays to ask which family had complained about a teacher. She called me during snowstorms because I kept the bus driver phone list current. "You know everyone," she would say. It sounded like praise until I asked for authority to match the responsibility. Then I was only her niece in the office. The cards started because of Milo Chen. It happened in January, 2 years before the Civic Center evacuation. Snow had begun falling around noon, not enough to close school, but enough to make parents nervous and change the rhythm of dismissal. At 2:35, Mrs. Chen called to say Milo's grandmother would pick him up instead of putting him on bus 12. I changed his dismissal note in our system. I printed the bright pink change slip and put it in the teacher mailbox. I called the classroom. No answer because the class was in the library. Then a substitute office aide placed the slip in the wrong teacher's box. At 3:10, Milo walked onto bus 12. At 3:18, his grandmother arrived. At 3:24, we realized he was gone. He was 6 years old. The next 40 minutes were the longest 40 minutes I had spent at Maple Ridge. Denise stood in her office calling the transportation department. A teacher ran through the building checking bathrooms. Mrs. Chen called from work and cried so hard I could barely understand her. Milo's grandmother stood at my counter gripping her car keys with both hands. I called bus 12 directly. The driver had pulled over because the roads were getting slick. She checked every seat. Milo was not there. Then I remembered that bus 12 had been replaced that afternoon because of a heater problem. The substitute driver had been given an old route sheet. At the final intersection, he had followed the old path and transferred 3 children to bus 8 for the rural loop. I called bus 8. Milo was sitting in the second row, holding his backpack on his lap and trying not to cry. He was safe. That was what mattered. But when his grandmother brought him back inside, his face was pale and stiff. He walked straight to me and pressed his forehead against my arm. "I told them Grandma was coming," he whispered. I crouched beside him. "I know." Nobody had my paper. That sentence stayed with me. Nobody had my paper. We had a student database. We had dismissal binders. We had radio codes, bus lists, custody notes, and emergency contacts. But when people moved quickly, the information stayed in places instead of moving with the child. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with index cards, markers, scissors, and a laminator I had bought for $29. I made a card for Milo. His name was in large print. His grade and teacher were underneath. A blue stripe showed his normal bus zone. A green square showed that he could switch to family pickup with office confirmation. His authorized adult initials were on the back. At the bottom, I added a perforated paper corner that could be torn off when he was released. 1 child, 1 card, 1 clear route. By midnight, I had made 12 samples. The next morning, I showed them to Martin Cole, the district operations director. Martin was 64, near retirement, and allergic to speeches. He looked at the cards for less than a minute. "Can a substitute understand this in 10 seconds?" he asked. "That is the point." "Can a bus driver use it without logging into anything?" "Yes." "Can a parent see where to stand?" "If the pickup zones use the same colors." He handed the cards back. "Test it." We tested them during 3 Friday dismissals. The first test showed that yellow was too close to the orange safety vests, so I changed yellow cards to a bright gold. The second showed that kindergarten teachers needed cards on neck rings instead of loose stacks. The third showed that drivers wanted the route color printed on both sides. Sam Ortiz helped with every test. Sam had driven school buses for 19 years. He had the calm voice of a person who had heard every excuse a child could invent. During the second test, he held up one of my cards and said, "This is the first thing the district has made that I can read without my glasses." I made the font bigger because you refused to get new glasses. That is called user feedback. By spring, Martin approved the plan for emergency reunification and complicated dismissals. The district print shop produced the cards with my name at the bottom. Prepared by Nora Hale, Maple Ridge Attendance Office. Approved, March 14. Martin signed the master template. The cards were not fancy. That was why they worked. Denise praised them when no one else was around. "This is useful," she said, turning one over in her hand. "Very practical." At the next staff meeting, she described them differently. "The administration has been developing a color-based reunification tool," she announced. Nora helped with the office details. I was sitting 6 chairs away. Martin looked at me. I gave him a small shake of my head. I told myself the same thing I had told myself for years. The children were safer. Credit was not the point. That belief sounds generous until you realize how often women are taught to use it against themselves. Ryan came back to Cedar Falls the following summer. His startup had closed. Denise said he wanted to bring his communications experience home. There was no open district job that matched his experience, so Denise began talking to people. She spoke to the superintendent. She spoke to the school board president. She spoke to the head of human resources. By August, the district had created a 1-year communications coordinator position to improve emergency messaging and family engagement. Ryan got the job. I found out at a Sunday dinner. Denise had made roast chicken. Ryan brought a bottle of wine and placed it on the table like he was arriving at a client meeting. "We have news," Denise said. Ryan smiled. "I am joining the district." I set down my fork. Doing what? Communications coordination. Emergency messaging, parent engagement, district brand. District brand. He laughed. "You make it sound dirty." I am trying to understand the job. Denise gave me the look she used when she believed I had embarrassed her in her own house. "Ryan will help us communicate like a modern district," she said. "Not everything can run through sticky notes and office gossip." I knew that sentence was aimed at me. "Congratulations," I said. Ryan raised his glass. "Thank you. I think I can make things a lot cleaner." 2 weeks into the job, he asked me to send him every emergency contact process I used. I sent the approved procedures, including the reunification cards. The next morning, he appeared at my counter with one of the cards between 2 fingers. "You still use these for emergency reunification and complicated dismissal. They look like luggage tags. Children can understand luggage tags." He smiled as if I had made a joke. "I am building a live family check-in dashboard. Parents scan a code, staff update locations, and everyone gets real-time messages. What happens if service is slow? It is a civic center, Nora, not the moon. What happens if a substitute does not have a district login? Temporary access. What happens if a parent has no smartphone? Staff-assisted check-in. What happens if the system shows a child in the wrong group?" He leaned against my counter. "That is why we test." "Good, test it beside the cards." His smile changed. "I was thinking we replace the cards." Martin approved them. Martin retired. Approval did not retire with him. Ryan tapped the card against the counter. "This is exactly what Mom means." "About what?" "You turn every suggestion into a wall." He left the card on my desk. That afternoon, Denise called me into her office. Ryan was already there. He had a presentation open on the wall screen. The first slide read Maple Ridge Family Reconnect. Underneath were 4 colored blocks. Red, blue, green, gold, my colors. "We are filming the spring drill," Denise said. "The district wants to show parents the new system. The colors are from the approved card plan." Ryan clicked to the next slide. "Colors are colors. The route assignments, release sequence, and confirmation corners are from the plan too." "There are no corners," he said. "It is digital." I looked at Denise. "Is my name anywhere in this?" She crossed her arms. "This is not about names." "Then put mine on it." Ryan let out a breath through his nose. "The district hired me to modernize emergency communications. I cannot put your name on every basic idea you touched." "You did not modernize it. You moved it onto a phone." Denise stood. "Enough." Her office door was open. The secretary at the outer desk could hear us. So could 2 teachers waiting near the copier. "Nora, you have done good work here," Denise said. but Ryan has training you do not have. He has been here 2 weeks. And you are making his job harder because you cannot separate family feelings from professional decisions. That was Denise's favorite trick. She made the family decision, then accused me of making it personal. I am asking whether the replacement has passed a full drill, I said. It will. Then keep the approved cards until it does. Ryan closed his laptop. You are jealous. I looked at him. Of what? That mom sees me as more than office support. The secretary stopped typing. I could feel the teachers near the copier trying not to listen. Denise did not correct him. Instead, she said, family does not entitle you to Ryan's role. I had not asked for Ryan's role. I had asked them not to throw away the tool that kept a 6-year-old from disappearing twice. But that was the first moment I understood what the drill was really for. It was not to test the safest system. It was to launch Ryan. Denise removed me from the planning group that afternoon. She assigned me to cover regular attendance calls during the drill. You can support from the office, she said. The word support had followed me most of my adult life. It usually meant I would be responsible for the result and invisible in the explanation. The drill took place on a Thursday in April. Ryan wore a district polo and a wireless microphone. A board member came, so did a reporter from the weekly paper. Parents had been asked to test the new check-in link. Teachers moved students to the soccer field, then to marked family zones. From my side office, I could hear Ryan making announcements. Blue Jays to Zone 2. Cardinals remain with grade leaders. Falcons prepare for release. He had replaced root colors with bird names because he said colors sounded childish. The substitute teachers did not know which bird matched which bus. At 10:17, Elena Park, a third-grade teacher, slipped into my office. What color is Falcon? South Route, blue. She nodded and left. 2 minutes later, another teacher came in. Where do special needs vans go? Gold Zone, East Gate. Ryan's screen says Cardinal. Cardinal is West Walkers. She stared at me. Can I take the old ring? I opened the bottom drawer and gave her a ring of laminated route cards. By the end of the drill, 3 grade leaders were using my cards behind the printed bird signs. The cameras did not show that. Ryan's final report called the drill a complete success. At the staff debrief, he thanked Denise, the technology team, and all support personnel. I was not invited. Elena found me in the workroom afterward. You should say something. You used the cards. Yes. Did every child get to the right zone? Yes. Then I know what I need to know. She frowned. That is not enough. I wanted to agree with her. Instead, I stacked printer paper and said, it has been enough so far. Ryan came to my apartment that evening. He did not call first. When I opened the door, he looked past me at the small living room like he expected to find evidence of some campaign against him. You gave staff the old cards. They asked for them. During my drill. During the district's drill. You wanted the dashboard to fail. No, I wanted the children to reach the right zones. Same thing apparently. He stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. Mom says you have an emergency tote in attendance with the full card set. I do. Throw it out. No. The new system passed. Not without the cards. Nobody reported that. That does not make it untrue. His face tightened. You have always done this. Done what? Acted like knowing small details makes you the only responsible person in the room. I kept my hand on the open door. Approved materials stay available until the replacement passes without them. That is your rule. It is district retention policy. Do not hide behind policy. I am standing in my apartment, Ryan. You came here. He looked at me for a few seconds. If this goes badly, Mom is going to think you are trying to embarrass me. That sounds like something you should discuss with your mother. He waited for me to soften. I did not. He walked out. The next morning, I checked the emergency tote. Every card was still there. I added 2 updated custody notes, replaced a damaged blue ring, and put the tote back under my desk. That was my quiet action. No complaint. No secret recording. No dramatic plan. I kept the cards. Stay with me, because the little card Denise wanted out of sight was about to become the only count anyone could trust. The water main burst 5 weeks later. Tuesday began like any other late May school day. The fifth graders were rehearsing for promotion. Kindergarten had butterflies in mesh habitats. The cafeteria served chicken sandwiches that smelled better than they tasted. At 1:42, I heard a deep sound under the floor. Not an explosion. More like a heavy truck dropping something outside, then the fire panel beeped. A second later, the custodian ran past the office. "Water," he said, "lower hall." The pipe had ruptured beneath the sidewalk beside the school. Water forced its way through an old utility opening and began flooding the kindergarten hallway. The building still had power. There was no fire, but water reached electrical service areas faster than the city could shut the main down, and the fire department ordered a full evacuation. Denise came over the intercom. "Teachers, begin emergency relocation. Take attendance materials. Proceed to assigned buses." Her voice was steady. I will give her that. The first 10 minutes went well. Teachers moved students out through the north and west doors. Bus drivers who were already lining up for dismissal pulled forward. The district sent extra buses. The Civic Center, 3 blocks away, opened its gym and parking lot. I lifted the emergency tote from under my desk. Ryan appeared in the doorway. "Leave that. It has custody notes." "The dashboard has them." "The dashboard does not have the updated Collins order from yesterday." "Then bring that paper." I put the full tote over my shoulder. "I am bringing the approved materials." He looked ready to argue, but a teacher shouted from the hall that she needed help moving 2 students in wheelchairs. We both moved. By 2:05, the school was empty. By 2:12, the first buses reached the Civic Center. That was when the emergency changed shape. Evacuating a school is one problem. Reuniting 600 children with the right adults while parents arrive from every direction is another. Ryan had prepared a digital check-in link. The district texted it to families. Parents were supposed to open the link, enter a student code, and receive a pickup zone. At first, it worked. Then hundreds of people tried to use it at once. Some parents had the link. Some did not. Some opened it twice. Grandparents did not know the student code. Divorced parents checked in separately. Teachers used one group name while bus drivers used route numbers. The Civic Center's cell service slowed. Ryan's screen began showing duplicate names. I stood near the gym entrance and watched confusion spread in small, ordinary ways. A second-grade teacher called for Blue Jays. A bus driver asked what a Blue Jay was. A parent held up her phone and said the link had put both children in different zones, even though they were standing together. The system was not evil. It was not even useless. It simply had not been tested under the pressure Ryan claimed it could handle. I opened the tote. The laminated rings were organized by grade. Teachers recognized them. "Take your class set," I said. Elena Park reached me first. "Are we allowed?" "Do you want a correct count?" She took the 3rd grade ring. Sam Ortiz walked over from the bus lane. "Route colors." "Same as before." "Thank God." I sent red routes to the north side of the parking lot. Blue routes went beside the library wall. Green family pickup moved under the Civic Center awning. Gold verification went to tables inside the lobby where staff could check custody notes without shouting private information. The lanes formed because people could see them. No password. No bird names. No explanation longer than one sentence. I gave each grade leader a marker and told them to tear the corner only after the authorized adult and student were standing together. For 20 minutes, the process moved. Children left in steady groups. Parents stopped crowding the gym doors. Drivers called their counts. Then the east parking entrance closed because an emergency vehicle needed access. 2 buses, routes 11 and 12, were redirected to the library lot behind the Civic Center. Sam radioed the change. Blue 11 and Blue 12 at library lot, 43 students, 4 staff, all safe. I repeated it and marked the count on the blue lane board. Ryan did not hear the radio call. He was inside the lobby trying to refresh the dashboard. At 3:04, he returned to the parking lot with Denise. "We are missing 2 groups," he said. "No," I said, "they are at the library lot." He looked at his phone. "They are not checked in." Sam confirmed 43 students and 4 staff. "Through what?" "Radio and cards." "That is not in the system." "Then put it in." He tried. The screen spun. Denise looked at the parents gathering near the media area. "We need an update." The update is that all buses are accounted for, I said. Ryan shook his head. I cannot confirm that. The drivers confirmed it. I need digital confirmation. You need children confirmed by adults who can see them. Denise stepped between us. Nora, stop. The buses are safe. Ryan is coordinating communications. Then he should communicate what the driver said. She lowered her voice. Do not do this here. Do what? Turn this into your moment. I looked around at the children sitting against the gym wall, the parents holding phones, the teachers checking names, and the buses lined up along 2 streets. This is not anybody's moment. Ryan walked toward the microphone stand. We need to be transparent. I followed him. Do not announce children missing when you know where the buses are. I know where someone says they are. The driver says it. The dashboard is the official count. Who made it official? He did not answer. At 3:18, he raised the microphone. Parents, we are still reconciling 2 student groups that have not appeared in our live check-in system. The reaction moved through the crowd before he finished. Parents stood, people called names. One woman pushed toward the front and shouted that her daughter rode bus 12. Ryan kept talking. We ask everyone to remain calm while the district verifies their location. I went to the blue lane board. Bus 12 is at the library lot, I called. The driver confirmed every child. The mother looked at me. You are sure? Yes, 43 children across 2 buses, 4 staff, they are safe. Denise took the microphone from Ryan. Please use official district directions. Then she pointed at me. Nora, get away from those lanes. You're the aunt who makes little cards. Let Ryan handle a real emergency. The microphone carried every word. No one laughed. Elena stopped tearing a confirmation corner. Sam turned from the bus lane. Superintendent Leela Grant had just reached the curb. I felt the old reflex rise in me. Do not embarrass Denise. Do not make family trouble public. Do not sound angry. Do not prove that grief had made me difficult and ungrateful after all. For years, that reflex had been stronger than my voice. That afternoon, it was not. I still did not argue. I looked at Denise and said, every child is accounted for. Ryan's system says otherwise. Ryan's system is wrong. Her face changed. It was a small change, but I knew it well. Denise could tolerate disagreement in private if she believed she could correct me later. Public contradiction felt like betrayal. Step away, she said. I stepped away from the microphone. I did not step away from the cards. Sam crossed the parking lot toward Superintendent Grant. He held one blue card in his right hand. It belonged to a 4th grader named Lucy Bennett. Her mother was waiting at the library lot because Lucy's bus had been redirected there. Sam said something to Grant. She looked at the card, then she looked at me. Ryan walked over. Dr. Grant, I can brief you. In a moment, she said. She turned the card over. Who prepared this? Sam pointed at me. Nora Hale, she trained us on it last year. Ryan stepped closer. That is an outdated paper backup. We are using the district Reconnect platform now. Sam looked at him. Your platform says my bus is missing. Because you did not check in. I radioed at 2:57. The radio report was not entered. That sounds like your count is missing, not my bus. Several parents heard him. The mother who had asked about bus 12 moved closer. Grant read the bottom of the card. Prepared by Nora Hale, approved March 14th. She looked at Ryan. When were you hired? His mouth tightened. August. This was approved 5 months before you joined the district. The color concept was preliminary. I built the actual reunification structure. Sam laughed once. It was not a friendly sound. She sat on my bus with those cards before you knew where we parked. Ryan looked at Denise. Denise came toward us with the microphone still in her hand. Leela, this is not the time to sort out authorship. It became the time when parents were told children were missing, Grant said. Denise lowered the microphone. The card was a draft. Ryan improved the district's process. Grant held up Lucy's card. It has Martin Cole's approval line. Martin approved limited use. Did the replacement complete a full drill without these cards? Denise looked at me. She wanted me to save her. She wanted me to say the digital drill had passed. She wanted the old arrangement back, the one where I carried the truth quietly so she could carry authority loudly. I said nothing. Grant asked again. Did it pass without the cards? Elena Park stepped forward. No. Denise turned. Elena swallowed but kept going. 3 grade leaders used Nora's card rings during the spring drill. Ryan's bird groups confused the substitutes. Another teacher raised her hand slightly. I used them too. Sam said every driver kept the root color key. Ryan's face reddened. That was sabotage. Using an approved backup is sabotage. Grant asked. Nora refused to support the new system. I finally spoke. I asked you to test it beside the approved plan. You wanted it to fail. I wanted every child to be found. The mother from Bus 12 stepped between 2 reporters. My daughter is at the library lot. Sam nodded. Yes, ma'am, I saw her. She is with Mrs. Talbot and the full Bus 12 group. Then why did he say she was missing? Ryan lifted his phone. Because the driver did not complete the digital check-in. The mother's eyes moved from his phone to Sam. The driver knew where she was. We need a centralized record. You had one. She pointed at the card in Grant's hand. You just did not like who made it. That line changed the crowd. Until then, people had been frightened and confused. Now they understood. This was not paper against technology. It was not old against new. It was a man announcing missing children because he trusted a screen bearing his name more than a working count bearing mine. Grant handed the card back to Sam. Take me to the library lot. Ryan moved beside her. I will come. No, she said. Mr. Ortiz will show me. Denise stepped closer. Leela, Ryan is the emergency communications coordinator. Not for the rest of today. Parents heard that too. Ryan stared at Grant. You cannot remove me in the middle of an activation. I can remove anyone who issues an unverified missing student announcement. I was being transparent. You were wrong. He looked around and saw the cameras. Then he tried his first countermove. This is a family conflict, he said. Nora has been resisting my role since I arrived. She has been waiting for a chance to discredit me. Grant looked at me. Did you tell him the buses were at the library lot? Yes. Did the driver confirm the count? Yes. Did Mr. Mercer announce them as unaccounted for after that? Yes. Grant turned back to Ryan. That is not a family conflict. Denise tried the second countermove. The important thing is that the team adapted, she said. We can present this as a successful layered response. Ryan's platform alerted us to a gap, and Nora's backup helped close it. There it was, the shared credit offer. The same tool they had removed was now a backup they had wisely allowed. Denise reached for my arm. Nora can explain that we worked together. I stepped out of reach. No. Her eyes widened. I had refused her in private before. I had never refused her with cameras close enough to catch the word. No, she repeated. Ryan's platform created a false missing bus alarm. The drivers and the cards already had the correct count. That is what happened. You are enjoying this? No. Then help us calm people down. I am calming people down. I am giving them the correct count. Ryan moved toward the microphone. I should address the parents. The Bus 12 mother blocked his path. I do not want an update from you. Another father said, neither do I. Someone behind him called, let the driver speak. Grant took the microphone from Denise. Parents, all student groups have now been physically verified. No children are missing. The 2 buses reported as unaccounted for were redirected to the library lot and had already confirmed their student count through the root card process. People stopped pushing forward. Some parents closed their eyes. One man bent over with his hands on his knees. A woman hugged another woman she did not seem to know. Grant continued. Mr. Mercer has been removed from emergency communications for the remainder of this response. Mr. Ortiz and MS. Hale will complete the final physical verification with grade leaders. Ryan lowered his phone. Denise stood beside him, her face still composed except for a pale line around her mouth. Grant looked at her. An outside administrator will review why the approved reunification plan was removed and why the replacement was represented as fully tested. I am the building principal, Denise said, which is why you will not lead that review. The crowd heard every word. The local reporter lowered her microphone for a second and looked directly at Denise. Ryan tried once more. Dr. Grant, Nora only laminated the cards. The root system was already district practice. Sam held Lucy's card up between them. Then, why is her name on it? Ryan did not answer. And why did she train every driver? Sam asked. Why did she know the library redirect before your screen did? Why did your mother tell her to leave the lanes that were working? Denise said, Sam, stay in your role. He looked at her. My role is getting children home. No one needed a longer speech. Grant and Sam walked to the library lot. I stayed at the Civic Center and finished the count. Each time a student left, a teacher checked the adult initials and tore the corner from the card. One by one, the rings emptied. Parents still looked shaken, but the lanes moved. Ryan stood near the building with his phone at his side. No one asked him for an update. Denise made 2 attempts to speak with district staff. Both times, Grant's deputy told her the response team was busy. At 4:06, Sam returned with the 2 redirected bus groups. Lucy Bennett ran to her mother. The woman dropped to her knees and held her so tightly that Lucy's backpack slid off. At 4:19, 1 student remained. Eli Parker's mother was stuck behind the road closure, so his authorized uncle drove from the next town. Eli sat beside me on the curb and asked whether school would be open tomorrow. Probably not. Will the butterflies be okay? I had forgotten about the kindergarten butterflies. The firefighters moved the habitats before the water reached the classroom. He nodded, good. At 4:31, his uncle arrived with identification. Elena checked the initials. I checked the custody note. Eli hugged his teacher, then took his uncle's hand. Elena tore the final corner. She placed it in my palm. 612, she said. 612. Every child was safe. That should have been the only story. For me, it was still the most important one. But the other story was already moving through Cedar Falls. The camera crews had recorded Ryan's missing group announcement. They had recorded Denise calling me the aunt who made little cards. They had recorded Sam presenting the card, Grant reading my name, and parents refusing to hear another update from Ryan. By 6 that evening, a local station posted a 2-minute clip online. The caption read, Paper backup resolves confusion after Maple Ridge evacuation. It was not a perfect caption, but it was close enough. Denise called me at 7:12. I was at home in sweatpants, eating toast because I was too tired to cook. I let the first call go to voicemail. She called again, then Ryan called, then Denise sent a text. This family needs to talk before the district turns today into something it was not. I read it twice. Then I called her back. She answered immediately. Where are you? Home. Ryan and I are at my house. Okay. Come over. No. There was a pause. Nora, this is serious. I know. The superintendent has put Ryan on administrative reassignment. She removed him from emergency communications. Because you let a bus driver attack him in front of cameras. Sam answered questions. You could have stopped it. Why would I stop the truth? Her voice changed. The principal disappeared. My aunt took her place. I raised you. 4 words. She had used them when I moved out at 23. She used them when I chose community college instead of the university she preferred. She used them when I skipped a Christmas dinner because I had the flu and when I told Ryan he could not store furniture in my apartment. I raised you, meaning I own the final version of every story involving you. You did, I said. I gave you a home when you had no one. You did. And today you stood there, while strangers treated me like I would risk children for my son. You removed an approved plan for your son. We replaced it with a modern system. It did not pass without the cards. Because you made sure staff kept using them. Because staff needed them. You always have to be right. I looked at the final torn card corner on my kitchen table. I had put it beside my keys without thinking. No, I said, I needed the children to be found. Do you hear how self-righteous you sound? Do you hear how little you have asked about the children? She went quiet, then she said, the district wants a written account. Ryan thinks we should describe the response as layered. His system identified the gap, and your paper process verified the location. His system created the gap. That is not constructive. It is accurate. A joint statement could protect everyone. I am not signing one. Nora. No. After everything I did for you. That was the moment my old question finally changed. For years, I had asked myself, how do I fix this without hurting Denise? That night, I asked a different question. Why was protecting Denise from the result of her own decisions still my job? Raising me did not buy control over my work, I said. She inhaled sharply. That is a disgusting thing to say. It is an honest thing to say. Your mother would be ashamed of you. That one landed. Denise knew it would. My mother had been dead for 22 years, and Denise still used her like a witness she could call whenever she wanted to win. I held the phone and waited for the pain to turn into the old obedience. It did not. Do not use her again, I said. I am trying to remind you where you came from. I know where I came from. Then act like family. I did, for years. I ended the call. Ryan posted his statement at 8:03. He wrote that Maple Ridge had successfully reunited every student through a combination of digital coordination and legacy paper tools. He said a temporary connectivity issue had created duplicate status reports. He thanked first responders, district leaders, and staff. He did not use my name. Then he added one sentence. Unfortunately, personal disagreements among extended family members complicated public communication during an otherwise successful response. That was his third countermove, only this time it happened online. He made the lie softer. Not missing children. Duplicate status. Not an approved plan removed for his launch. Legacy paper tools. Not his mother humiliating me over a microphone. Personal disagreements. He posted it on the district's public page without authorization. Parents answered before I could. Lucy Bennett's mother posted a photograph of the blue cards Sam had used. My name and the approval date were visible at the bottom. She wrote, "This is the tool that knew where my daughter was while Mr. Mercer told us her bus was missing." Another parent posted a picture of the 4 colored pickup lanes. Sam did not post anything. He did not need to. Elena wrote, "The card system was developed and tested by Nora Hale before Ryan Mercer joined the district. Several teachers used it during the spring drill because the replacement system was not sufficient on its own." By 9, Ryan's post had more than 200 comments. He deleted it. Screenshots stayed. The district placed him on paid administrative reassignment the next morning. Denise remained principal during the initial cleanup, but Superintendent Grant assigned an assistant superintendent from another building to lead the emergency review. Maple Ridge closed for 4 days while the city repaired the water main and crews dried the lower hallway. I reported to the district office. On Wednesday afternoon, Grant asked me to meet with the review team. I brought one thing. The laminated MasterCard. They already had Ryan's dashboard reports. They already had radio records and staff statements. I did not need to carry a folder into the room and perform the truth. I placed the card on the table. Grant asked me when I created it. I told them about Milo Chen. I told them about the wrong bus, his grandmother's keys, and the sentence he whispered into my sleeve. Nobody had my paper. I explained the tests. I explained the root colors. I explained why the tear-off corner mattered. One reviewer asked whether I opposed digital tools. No, I said. I opposed removing a working physical count before the replacement could complete a drill without it. Did you want Mr. Mercer's dashboard to fail? No, I wanted it to succeed beside the cards until it proved it could replace them. Why did Principal Mercer remove you from the drill team? She said I was mixing family feelings with professional decisions. Were you? I was asking professional questions about her son's system. Grant looked at the card. Did Principal Mercer ever acknowledge you designed this? Privately. Publicly. She said I helped with office details. The reviewer wrote that down. I did not feel victorious. I felt tired. That is one thing stories sometimes get wrong about public vindication. The truth can arrive exactly when you need it and still leave you carrying the years before it. The review lasted 3 weeks. During that time, Denise sent me 6 messages. The first said she loved me. The second said she was disappointed in me. The third said Ryan had made mistakes but did not deserve to lose his career. The fourth reminded me that she had paid for my braces. The fifth asked whether I could tell Grant that Denise believed the cards remained available. The sixth simply said, "Please call me." I answered none of them. Ryan called from a number I did not recognize. I picked up because I thought it was apparent. You got what you wanted, he said. What did I want? My job. I do not have your job. You wanted me humiliated. I told you the buses were safe. You could have backed me up. By agreeing children were missing. By saying the systems work together. They did not. The cards are not a system, Nora. They are laminated paper. Then why did you need them? He was silent. I can fix this, he said. I can tell the district the cards were your project. I can credit you. They already know. I mean publicly. You can be listed as the support designer. I almost laughed. Even then, he could only imagine giving me a smaller name under his. No. What do you want? Nothing from you. That is not true. It is. If you tell Grant I approve the cards as a backup, this becomes a process mistake instead of misconduct. Did you approve them? I knew they existed. That is not what I asked. We are family. That is not what I asked either. He called me bitter. Then he said I had always resented living in his house. I reminded him it had been Denise's house. He hung up. The review findings were presented at a public school board meeting in June. I sat in the back row beside Alina. Sam sat 2 seats away in his cleanest work shirt. Parents filled most of the room. Grant read the findings without drama. The water main break had required an appropriate evacuation. All students and staff had reached the Civic Center safely. The physical reunification cards had provided the reliable student count. The communications dashboard had not been fully load tested. Ryan had issued a missing group announcement after driver confirmation was available. Denise had removed the approved card plan from the formal drill process without documenting a successful replacement. The consequences were specific. Ryan kept a district job because the board did not find that he intended to endanger anyone, but he was removed from emergency communications and reassigned to routine website and newsletter work under direct supervision. He could write lunch menu posts. He could not tell parents whether their children were missing. Denise received a formal written reprimand. Emergency planning was moved from her sole authority to a district committee led by operations staff. For 1 year, any safety procedure she wanted to change required superintendent approval. She remained principal. Some parents wanted her fired. Others said one terrible decision should not erase 11 years at the school. I understood both sides. Life did not arrange itself into a clean punishment. After Grant finished, the board president opened the floor to speakers. Lucy Bennett's mother spoke first. I do not know Nora Hale well, she said, but when I thought my daughter was missing, Nora gave me a fact. Mr. Mercer gave me a screen. Principal Mercer told me to trust the screen. I need the district to remember the difference. Sam spoke next. The cards worked because drivers helped test them, he said. Nora asked the people doing the job what they needed. That is all I have. He sat down. I did not speak. I had already given my account. Denise sat near the front with Ryan. She never turned around. After the meeting, Alina and I walked toward the parking lot. I owe you an apology, she said. For what? The staff meeting, the drill, a lot of things. You spoke at the Civic Center. After it was safe. I stopped beside her car. She looked down at her keys. I knew he copied your plan. I knew Denise was pushing you out. I told myself it was family business and I should stay out of it. That is what Denise wanted everyone to think. I am sorry. It was a real apology because she did not ask me to make her feel better. Thank you, I said. We did not become best friends. We became honest coworkers. That mattered more. Denise waited 6 weeks before asking to meet. She chose a coffee shop instead of her house. That told me she understood something had changed. She arrived early and sat at a corner table. She looked smaller without her principal's office around her. I ordered tea and sat across from her. For the first few minutes, she talked about ordinary things. The lower hallway had new flooring. The kindergarten butterflies had been released. Ryan was unhappy in his reassignment. Then she folded her hands. I protected him. Yes. I thought he needed a chance. He had one. I thought your cards would always be there if we needed them. You told me to throw them away. She looked toward the window. I did not think you would. That was the most honest thing she said. She had built her decision around my disobedience. She could erase the plan publicly because she trusted me to preserve it privately. She could promote Ryan's system because she trusted me to catch whatever it missed. She could call me jealous because she trusted me to keep protecting the school anyway. You expected me to save you from removing me, I said, her eyes filled. I expected you to care about the children. I did. I know. That is why the cards were there. She wiped beneath one eye. Then, why can you not understand that I was trying to help Ryan establish himself? I understand it. But you cannot forgive it. Understanding is not the same as agreeing to do it again. She leaned back. What does that mean? It means you do not call me after hours for information you will not let me own at work. It means you do not use mom when you want me to obey. It means Ryan does not come to my apartment. It means I decide when family contact happens. That sounds like punishment. It is a boundary. You learned that word from therapy. I learned it from you. She frowned. You always knew where your office ended and your home began. You just never let me have the same line. She did not apologize that day, not fully. She said she was sorry things had become public. I told her they became public when she used a microphone. She asked me to stop being sharp. I finished my tea. We left separately. Ryan never apologized. At Thanksgiving, he arrived at Denise's house after I had already left. At Christmas, he posted a family photo with the caption "Loyalty is quiet." I did not respond. For a while, I wondered whether I should. Then I remembered how quiet I had been while he put his name over mine. Silence was not always loyalty. Sometimes it was free space for someone else's lie. Maple Ridge reopened with new flooring and a written emergency process that used both digital check-in and physical cards. The tools had to match. Drivers had direct authority to confirm their own bus counts. No missing student announcement could be made from a screen alone. My title did not change. I was still the attendance clerk. I still answered phones, checked boxes, corrected addresses, and found children who had gone to the nurse without telling their teacher. The district offered me a stipend to help the emergency committee update the cards twice a year. I accepted because it put the work in writing, not as a favor, not as something I would do because Denise had raised me. Work. Named. Paid. Sam continued complaining about the font even after I made it larger. Elena began backing me in meetings before a crisis forced her to. Denise and I spoke about once a month. Some calls were almost normal. Others ended when she tried to explain Ryan again. I did not get my old family back. The truth was, I was not sure the family I missed had ever existed outside my effort to keep it calm. The following January, Milo Chen came to the office because his bus card had cracked near the top. He was 8 by then, taller and missing one front tooth. "Can I get a new one?" he asked. "That is what I am here for." I printed his information, checked his route, and laminated the replacement. He watched the machine pull the card through. "My grandma likes these," he said. "Why?" "She says you always know where I am." I handed him the card. "Lots of people know where you are. But you make sure." He put it into the holder on his backpack and ran back toward class. I sat at my desk for a moment. There had been no award, no promotion, no perfect apology. My aunt still believed love should have earned her more control than I was willing to give. My cousins still believed losing authority was worse than frightening parents with bad information. But every child had gone home. The card stayed in the plan. My name stayed on the card. And I no longer needed Denise or Ryan to make the work bigger by admitting it mattered. Subscribe if you want more stories about quiet people who stop asking permission to trust what they know. I spent years believing careful work was small because my family only noticed it when they needed rescue. I knew better now. The work had never been little. I had only been standing too close to people who needed me to think it was.